end. And just want to remind everybody, please turn off your cell phones and your pagers, and we'll have a good time with Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller is an actor who has been performing for more than 50 years and has a new book out now, Hollywood Inside and Out, the Kenny Miller story by Kenny Miller with Donald Vaughn. It'll be available. Okay, working with the microphone here. Okay, this book will be available for sale, and Kenny will be across the hall in the dealer's room selling autographed pictures and the like. And you were known for many television, stage, and movie roles, including I Was a Teenage Werewolf, Attack of the Puppet People, various beach movies and juvenile delinquency movies. You were in A Touch of Evil with Orson Welles, and a lot of television, including guest appearances on shows as diverse as The Rat Patrol and The Beverly Hillbillies, and the regular parts on shows like B.L. Stryker. Right. So we'd like to talk about some of that. And what prompted you to write the book? I know you have a lot of great stories about Elvis and Natalie Wood and all sorts of you. Seems you've known everybody.
Well, I haven't known everybody, but I've been very lucky and got to work with a lot of wonderful, talented people. But it was offered to me by Bear Manor Media. They wanted a autobiography, but I had already had an autobiography which was released by McFarlane a couple of years ago. And that had expired, or we didn't go into the second printing for various reasons. And so I decided to, along with Donald Vaughn, who actually wrote the book, although we spent like 2.5 years revising it and so forth, and that's how it all came about.
And I read in the book that Donald Vaughn was a reporter in Florida, right?
Right.
And he grew up liking movies, and then he was given the assignment to cover a performance that you were doing in the theater. Right. And then he says, "Could this be the same Kenny Miller that I know from all the cool occult movies from the 50s?"
Yeah, well, it was at that time he was working out of Fort Lauderdale, and I was living in Palm Beach and so forth. But it worked out really great, and he was working for I believe it was the Fort Lauderdale News, and we did the story. And that then years later, when this all came about, well, he had done a couple other feature stories for me in magazines, in trade magazines like Film Fest and I think The Big Reel, and I'm not sure the name, but anyway, when this all came about, why, he's the one person I thought of that I would like to do my autobiography with. And although he had moved to North Carolina, but it still worked out, and we did it, and very happy about it. In fact, really love the new book very, very much. It really came out great.
Mm-hmm. Now, you did not start in Hollywood. You started in Ohio, is that right?
Right. Eric, yeah. Yeah, my mother and father were very religious. In fact, my father was a minister, and he had been with a church which was similar to the United Methodist Church now, and then he went into mission work, and they formed a mission for the poor and so forth in Springfield, Ohio. And of course, he was very much against that whole thing and never realized why I wanted to be in show business, but I never wanted to be in anything else. But
show business he considered to be evil and
sinful? And all the people in it were bad and all that stuff. And then I found out later he was right. No. No, unfortunately, he died when I was 16, and I was still in school, although I had run away from home the summer before and went to California, not knowing. I thought Hollywood was like someplace out in the heavens somewhere, and found out that it wasn't. But he never was convinced that there was anything good about it, or the only time he was happy when I was singing in church or someplace like that. So.
Shades of the jazz singer.
Well, it's amazing how many people in the business come from religious backgrounds and that type of thing. I guess they're reaching out because maybe they didn't get the love that they needed, and so they need the love from the audience and the people they're working with and so forth, so it works out.
So when you started out, you did a stint in the service at all?
Yes, I did.
Right.
Yeah, my first film was a film called Fearless Fagin at MGM with Carlton Carpenter and Janet Leigh and Keenan Wynn, a few other people. And it was a story about a guy going to Fort Ord who had a pet lion called Fagin. And my mother had not mailed all my mail from Ohio, and I had gotten a draft notice from the Clark County, Ohio draft, whatever you call it, and I was to have reported 3 days before, and I started on the film that day, and they said, well, you're going to be deferred and all that, but the second day of filming at MGM with Stanley Donen, who was the director and a wonderful director, I was on a train on my way to Fort Ord, California, and I was inducted into the U.S. Infantry, which was really like taking a real life from the film to real life, I should say. It was unbelievable because the film took place in Fort Ord too. But I had one line in the film, and it's in the dark, so you can't really see me. But it came out after I was in basic training in Fort Ord, and I'm still there. Okay. But all you see is a flashlight going around, and all clear over here, sir. And I remember Stanley Donen said, "Oh, Kenny, that was great. You know, you're supposed to be nervous because of what he didn't know. I was scared." Really scared. Yeah. I was really scared. Yeah. But anyhow, that was my first.
I found
film.
something interesting in the book. Again, can we get a close up on this again, Fred? Hollywood Inside and Out, the Kenny Miller story, and when you were in Germany, you somehow connected with show business, with movies and television over there.
Yeah, I got stationed in Berlin, and I was in the 6th Infantry, and never changed my MOS, but I did become the entertainment NCO for the 6th Infantry, and we had a wonderful older star who had come to America and did pretty well by the name of Tala Burrell, and she did a few things. She was sort of, they hoped to be the next Greta Garbo, but she didn't get that far. Anyway, she was the entertainment director for the whole Berlin command, and they were shooting Flash Gordon series.
This was like a retread of the 30 serials,
right,
with
exactly.
Buster Crabbe?
But this was with Steve Holland and Irene Chamberlain and Joe Nash, and it was shot in Spandau in a bombed out part studio, and directed my segments in the first year was by Wallace Worsley, whose father was a very famous director too, and Wally was an MGM director, and it was all shot and I guess co-produced by German television, and
in German or English?
Was in English, but so many of the actors were German and couldn't speak English very well, and boy, I'll tell you, it was a struggle, and I remember I played Tough Luck Hogan, who was befriended by Flash, and I was sort of his sidekick, and we had scenes when German actors, like I remember one time I run up and said, have you seen somebody, I think the guy's name was Fabian or something, who was a bad guy, and the guy who was the doorman at the hotel, they have a hard time saying you words like stunned in German. I don't know why. And all he had to say was, he was stunned, he was stunned, he was stoned. Well, anyway, it came out every way but the way it was supposed to be. And of course, we crack up, you know. But it is now out on DVD, unbelievable. And I was hoping it would maybe never see the light of day in America, but it did. It was syndicated for a while, and but the second year was a whole different crew and a new different director, a German director, and it just well, it's typically 50 years ago. It's hard for me to say that. Type television. It of course black and white, and the sets and the rocket ships and so forth were. There was no animation or anything like that, or anything digital, so it leaves a lot to your imagination. But it was a great...
It's Beulah! Tonight, from the home of Ken Murray's Blackouts, the El Capitan Theater, Hollywood, Lever Brothers Company presents the Pepsodent Show, starring Bob Hope, and his special guest, Al Jolson.
C-O